Hello and welcome back to Hope Follows with Julie Kenzler. I'm your host and I'm so honored to be here with you today. Thanks for joining me, and we are on an adventure with this episode with hardships and the hope that follows those hardships. So please join me in welcoming Lisa Williams, my beautiful special guest today.
Hello.
And great. I'm so glad we actually have just recently met.
Yesterday.
Yes.
On the phone when I was in the airport.
Yes. And here we are, we're just already connecting.
Yep.
And God is so great.
We've been friends for a long time.
Yes, I think so. Well, I'm going to tell you just a little smidgen about Lisa, so you can understand what this amazing lady has accomplished and what she's been through. Lisa has 25 years of experience in recruiting, leadership development, and entrepreneurship. She is a wealth educator, entre-believer, which she'll explain what that is, and America's business matchmaker. Teaching people to hire themselves, Lisa is a recovered, corporate executive who looked in the mirror one day and couldn't remember the last time she learned something new. She is the creator of the programs Journey to Financial, WOW, Dream Business Launch, Wealth Minded Mastermind, Recruiter Mindset, and an amazing LinkedIn series, LinkedIn by Lisa, with some workshops. You can also listen to Lisa on her weekly podcast, Dream Big Nation podcast, and watch her on her show, The Lisa Williams TV Show. All this great information you can find on her website at lisawilliamsco.com. That's lisawilliamsco.com. It'll be at the bottom of the screen so you can get all that information. But her passion is financial education. She believes God's big plan is, his plan is big for your life, and that you should imagine dreams so big that when you accomplish them, only God can get the credit. I love that.
I didn't make that one up.
No, well,
I borrow everything from other people.
That's okay. I heard when you do that 3 times, you don't have to give credit anymore.
Okay.
So it's yours.
It's mine now.
You have the 4 F's. Do you want to say those?
Yes. Faith, family, finance, and philanthropy.
And
with an F.
Yes. F, philanthropy.
Yeah.
Well, just briefly, can you tell us a little bit about what you do? Especially the Entre-Believer, because that is just such a unique name and title. I don't think I've ever heard it before. And then
we actually have a song called Entre-Believer too.
Really?
You can look it up on Spotify. My girlfriend wrote it.
You have it, so you sing.
I didn't sing it. My girlfriend, Carrie Cunningham, sang it.
Okay.
But we wrote it together.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I'll look that up. And then we're going to get into her Hope Follows story.
Okay.
So go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, born and raised in Alaska.
Okay.
I followed my future ex-husband to California and had 2 beautiful children with him.
Yes.
Didn't necessarily end up staying married to him. He's a dear man, one of my best friends, but had to switch husbands to get my girl. I'm now very happily married to a lovely man that I actually met very accidentally at my corporate career. I was a recruiter, as you said, for 25 years.
Yes.
I was blessed abundantly in that career. Journeying along with people when they're in transition is a lovely opportunity in life. And I accidentally landed in that, as most people do. Most people don't choose purposely what they're going to do. It's kind of, they graduate and then they, hey, this looks good, right? And I did that for many years. And then I looked in the mirror one day and I couldn't remember the last time I'd learned something new. And
you like to learn. I mean, you thrive on that.
I love to learn. And I'm that person that my friends have always been like, Lisa, why are you doing so much? Like, don't you get tired? And God has just blessed me with energy. I love people. I love getting to know their stories. And so recruiting, you get to do that every day, right?
Totally. I
never really knew about the world of entrepreneurship until I started saying yes to things. I was trying to discover what to do next. I looked into ministry. I looked into counseling. I'm used to making a lot of money, and Unfortunately, those professions don't earn a lot.
Right.
But I just started saying yes to a bunch of things and fell into a business that I absolutely loved in financial wellness. And it's become my passion. So now I've just really transitioned from helping people find a job to helping them create a home-based business and
Okay.
stepping into their what I consider their God-gifted purpose in life.
And helping them to identify
Yep. Yep.
their area
Right.
of
right.
expertise and specialty.
Yeah.
that maybe
Yeah.
they don't even know.
Yeah. Well, so many people are on, myself included. I was on this hamster wheel and I didn't even realize it. It got super comfortable and
Sure.
and yet I was bringing things home to my hubby and my kiddos and kind of complaining and not necessarily the happiest in what I was doing. I had
Right.
19 bosses in 23 years.
Okay, let's say that again. I
19
read that.
bosses, 19 bosses.
In 23 years. What was happening with that?
Well, that's recruiting and leadership. It's not.
It's just like this.
It's a churn and
Turnover.
burn them.
Wow.
Well, part of it's because they, when they pick leaders, it's usually someone that's been in sales. I've been commission sales my whole life.
Okay.
I would never have it any other way. I don't like having that cap on my income.
Sure.
But typically in recruiting,
I
you
wanna learn
find
that.
out in 6 months if you love it. And if you do, it stays in your blood and you just keep going. And it's very lucrative. But what happens is people get to a certain level and then something happens in leadership. So they tap you on the shoulder and they say, hey, you're making a lot of money. You must be a good leader. Why don't you come and be the manager?
Oh.
Without actually pouring belief
okay.
into them and training them how to be a
Right.
manager. Right. So
Wow. Well, do you have any story in particular about maybe someone you helped identify their gift and start their business?
oh yes, absolutely.
If you could just share one.
So yeah, I was so blessed to meet a dear friend. This was about a year and a half ago at a women's group.
Okay.
And she is what I would consider the queen of reinvention. And she's in her 70s, believe it or not.
Okay. Did you
Which
hear that?
I
friends
think is
at
so
home?
cool.
In her 70s.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah.
love this.
She had been laid off many times in her career. She tried different things. She was an entertainer. And so
Okay.
COVID hit,
Yes.
and she literally was like 85% of her income was cut in half.
I have a brother-in-law who's an actor in New York.
Right.
Yep.
We were already friends. And then she started to understand what I do in business. Financial services is a very highly paid industry. And the way I do it is very non-traditional because
Okay.
it's taken an old industry and dumped it upside down. Which anytime you have a new idea to an old industry, that's when change happens. That's when
That's exciting.
revolutions happen, right?
People are afraid of that.
Right,
But that
right.
is exciting.
Yeah. But she was super coachable. She embraced what we do. She loves our mission, no family left behind. She got behind it. And, this woman that had started multiple businesses, really, she was like that winner that hadn't won yet.
Oh,
Right?
I
We
know
all
that
know
my
those
husband has
people.
been involved with some startups.
Right.
Yes.
And I mean, 6 months into it, she made her first 10 grand. I mean, she didn't even ever make that in corporate,
What is she doing?
She's a financial educator like me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and sky's the limit from there, right?
What fun to sit down with her. I'm sure.
Oh,
Because
she'd be
she's
a
got a
great
lot of
episode
stories,
for you.
I bet.
Yeah, she would be a great episode.
Well, you just briefly mentioned about your divorce,
Mm-hmm.
and that is part of your story in a book called The Lemonade Stand Series Number 2
Mm-hmm.
by Michelle Faust. And that is neat. Can you just tell our viewers a little bit about that book and how you got involved with that?
Oh yeah, Michelle.
Because your section is about forgiveness.
Right.
Yes.
Michelle is amazing. If you don't know her, make sure you follow her, Michelle Faust. She is a publisher and a collaborator, and she got, I think there's 12 of us together. We each wrote a chapter, and the topic of this particular book is alchemy of forgiveness. And so we each have our own story of lemons to lemonade.
Yes.
Right. And so my story, I shared about my divorce, and I really had never shared that publicly. It happened many years ago. I was very unexpectedly a single mom of a 3-month-old and a 3-year-old.
Yes.
And I knew that God's plan was so good. And yet, one moment in particular, I remember I was kneeling in my closet and my 3-year-old was banging on the door, and I was crying and I was raging at God.
Sure.
I've been your good and faithful servant. Why is this happening? And he just told me it would be okay.
Yeah.
I heard it clearly. My husband had started a business, and it was, I was blessed financially to allow him to do that, which was awesome, right? Not realizing that in my, at that time I thought this is what's making my marriage end, right? This stupid business.
Sure.
He's gone, right?
Right.
But I didn't realize that there was a third person in the equation, right?
Yeah.
So when he left, we actually went to counseling for about 2 years. We
After you were divorced.
after we were separated.
After you were separated. And,
Right.
and again, it was because of unfaithfulness.
Well, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that yet.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. But long story short, he's a wonderful man. I was blessed with tremendous forgiveness, as he was as well. I had just as big a part to play in the breakdown of our
Right.
marriage.
Yes.
Just because his is a little bit maybe more unsavory. He had an affair with one of my dear friends, and they actually ended up getting married. And they have a daughter. I have a daughter with my amazing husband. Our daughters call each other sisters.
That
We
is.
travel together. We do
That's
holidays
remarkable.
together.
That's a miracle. I mean, it just wasn't like that back when my mom was a stepmom. She was a stepmom, and it was battle. Don't let the girl's mom even be on our driveway. It was horrible. And today,
How sad is that?
it's so sad.
My boy is actually my oldest. Like probably 5 years ago, they had a neighbor, and he came home one day and he's like, "Mama, did you know that that Miles has to actually go meet his dad at a restaurant that's not around their house because his mom and him can't actually see each other."
Right.
And I just feel for those
That's
children,
heartbreaking.
right?
It is. And I think you said forgiveness was such a big piece of this, and God's grace, and you went through counseling. So tell us a little more about that.
Oh, well, counseling,
How
in my
that-
opinion, is everyone should be in counseling, by the
Yes,
way.
everyone should have a
I still
counselor.
am in counseling.
I love
I
counselors.
love counseling.
My daughter's
I'm a
going to be
psychology
one.
major, so it's, it makes sense. But
Yes.
we had it's interesting, actually. The counselor, my parents had given me an amazing example of perseverance. They got separated when I was about 9. And my dad actually found a church that was more for his liking, and he invited my mom and my brother and I, and they had the most amazing marriage. But they had to work at it. And so
Sure.
when
Yes.
my husband left, I thought, oh, well, that's okay. I had this great example. We can totally do this, right? And the counselor that we saw initially literally said, I don't see what's wrong. Like, you guys should be working. I don't think I can do anything more for you. And I mean, it just
Really?
shows there's bad,
Oh,
there's not
yes.
great people in every profession.
That's
let's face
right.
it, right?
Absolutely.
So we went searching, and I actually called my counselor that had helped my parents in Alaska. And I was like, "Dave, do you know anyone down here?" He's like, "Well, Lise, why don't we just do it on the phone?" And so we actually counseled on the phone. He flew down once, did a retreat with us. And what's ironic is after the divorce was final, and that's really when I learned that there was this third person in the picture.
Okay.
I remember calling him, and I was like, did you ever suspect that there was like 3 of us in that counseling room, right? And he would have counseled us very differently, right?
Wow.
But it
Sure.
all works as like God's plan is so good.
And that's the hope follows
Right.
story
Mm-hmm.
is the hardship, single mom of these 2 little children. And like you said, you were just crying out to God, I'm so angry. And I firmly believe God doesn't look down on us and he's not mad at us if we get angry with him. He wants us to cry out to him. That's
Well,
what
and
he
you know
wants.
what? Here's the deal. As a result of that, I joined a Bible study of single parents. I met my best friend, Elizabeth,
Yes.
who was also a single mom who had experienced unfaithfulness.
Right.
We had this amazing friendship. For, that was, I got to be with her for 12 years before she died. Right.
Yes. And we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that because you're actually writing a book
Yeah.
with Elizabeth.
Yep. So my beautiful friend Elizabeth, she was a journalist, and she always talked about writing a book. And she battled cancer for 5 years, and she lost that battle in 2020, right before the COVID shutdown. And so she's writing it with me. We're writing it together. It's called Conversation with an Angel.
And I believe we'll have a picture up on the screen. And that will be coming out when? Do you expect that to be published?
In the next 30 days.
Great.
We're just about ready.
And I'll add it to my website also, but I
Yeah.
can't wait to read that.
Yeah,
That's going to be special.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, it was, we're going to invite some friends on here in a moment, but you lost your mom and your best friend, Elizabeth, your mom, Sue, and Elizabeth within 10 months of each other. That's earth-shattering. And I know this is probably really hard to talk about, but talk about it, like just briefly, your grief recovery. And what do you think really helped you the most?
My faith.
Yes.
That's what helped me the most. My mom was the most amazing woman of faith. She was a nurse for 45 years.
My mom too.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, they are very servant heart people, right, in general.
Yes, they are beautiful.
She was diagnosed with a very deadly brain tumor. And we knew we wouldn't have long with her. We had her for 10 months. I went home to Alaska 8 times in that period of time. I know exactly where she is. She's with me all the time, as is Elizabeth. They're partying up there.
Yes.
And waiting for me to come. And they, they're together. But it's interesting just how God knew that I would have this gap. And it's part of my entrepreneurial journey, my story of this abundant, amazing world of entrepreneurship that are just people that, like you, that are lifelong learners, that are just inspiring others to do something different, whatever it looks like for themselves. And some chapters are closed and then other chapters open. And
you are, a lot of what you do is in honoring them, in memory of them,
100%.
and dedicated to them. And
they didn't.
Same thing with me.
I feel like there
was
unfinished things that I meant to help them, do.
And carry on.
Yeah.
And you told me about some special friends who are actually here. So come on in, ladies.
So fun.
Yes. And this group of amazing women has been a pillar for you, and just really new friendships, but special. And so
can I introduce them?
Introduce them, and they have been just a great support in her hard times.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's just amazing how God works, because this is Lisa and Cindy and Robin, and God just I believe really there's seasons of friendships that happen.
I agree.
And these ladies are just dear to my heart, and we have so much fun together. And it's
so
like
beautiful.
It's like we haven't even known each other long. Cindy and I had the blessing to meet last fall in a coaching program that we both did, and then we all are part of a mastermind. And we just came together and we just fell in love with, we are all vibrating in the same energy.
But different
but
gifts.
different gifts.
Yes,
Right.
and passions. And that's why we're here in Arizona right now.
Yep.
Because they have their first ever, of many to come, I'm sure, retreat, and they each bring something really special to the table. But this retreat, you guys can actually access this weekend.
Yes. Come and visit us.
Yes.
In the land of Zoom.
Okay, it's called Her Next
Chapter.
Her Next
Yes.
Chapter. So tell us about that, and then we'll have each of our friends
Yes.
share a little bit about their
Yes.
piece.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all have many chapters in our lives, right? And so few people actually get to step into those next chapters. And when we all met, Miss Lisa here, she shared her vision for this. It was originally, there was a star. I forget what it was. It was
Reaching True North.
Reaching your true north. And we just all came together, and it was just such an amazing collaboration of ideas and energy.
Yes.
And I mean, Miss Robin, I'll let her share what her gifts are.
Yes.
She's just this rock star
Robin,
technology
go ahead.
professional.
Tell us a little bit about you.
So, well, I'm originally from Arizona. I live in Florida right now and have two wonderful kids. And, you know, I'm all about people really embracing who they are, finding their strengths, and helping them then step into their greatness and find
Love
their
that.
purpose to build their legacy, right? Because, like, we're focusing right now on women 40 and above. You know, we go through so many stages, and so it's, you know, creating that sisterhood of just bonding and saying, you know, we're all okay, and, you know, accepting the imperfections of our background, and then, you know, really identifying what those strengths are. Another thing that I have is a youth program that now in its 7th year, but you know, I was finding the same issue with children. And so that breaks my heart tremendously, right? Because, all right, okay, we're older. Well,
Right.
all right, you know, we can handle it. But, you know, our children really need to get those skill sets in order to help them step into their greatness. And so I
Absolutely.
feel very blessed that Her Next Chapter has chosen my charity to sponsor.
Sponsor. Okay.
Right.
Great.
Because, you know, overall, it's the same mission. So Her Next Chapter is for older women, and Connected 360 is for developing the next generation.
And I'll have all this information on my website. Thank you. Cindy, tell us your piece of the puzzle that you bring.
Hi. Yes, in addition to my corporate job, I'm also a money mindset and budget coach. So I help people with that money mindset around limiting beliefs in your relationship with money. Before you make the big investments, before you work with someone like Lisa on your financial decisions, you need to get your mind right with money. So we all have limiting beliefs that we grew up with. Sometimes we're aware of
Absolutely.
them, and sometimes we're not. And our mindset just isn't in the right place. So we work together on that. And I also help people uncover their sacred money archetype. There's
Ooh.
8 of them, and they're things like the ruler, the connector, the maverick. And you can kind of imagine what those conjure up. And once you know your archetype, you can be more successful in your relationship with money. And so that you're not trying to emulate someone else's success because they're wired differently than you.
Absolutely.
Once you know this information, you can align with your core values.
I love that.
We're bringing
Thank
that
you.
kind of piece to the mix.
What an amazing collaboration. And Lisa, a great collaboration of all of your talents to help women 40 and up.
You know, when we all met, we're from different parts of the world, of, you know, of the United States, but we all have different backgrounds as well. But my piece of the puzzle is health and wellness. I'm a graduate of the Institute for Integrated Nutrition. And all women want better health. That was my journey. I wanted wellness. And then that was something that just fit in with all of us and resonated. And so I feel like we support each other. And we're just going to make each other better. That's the goal.
And you want that to be contagious,
Yes.
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 not COVID. contagious. We want women to know if they are feeling lost, if they're feeling like in their 40s, 50s, and 60s and 70s and beyond.
Yes.
That there's something more for them.
And then we have a tribe that supports whatever they want to achieve, reach their
Wonderful.
goals.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Make sure we laugh a lot together.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
How much have we
have to laugh together.
We have
with
cried
women.
laughing.
We've
at
almost-
least twice just in the last
We've
few hours.
almost peed
So
our pants.
Yeah.
Oh my, that's a good cry.
This weekend.
yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm so glad we got everybody on here for just a few minutes
Yeah.
to share about her next chapter. And please definitely look at the websites that you see below here on the screen. And you can register. It's free. It's free.
Come and join us.
I've already looked at the agenda. It's packed with some great information and training, fun things.
And if you miss it, if you're watching this later, we'll have the recording so you can join us then.
Perfect.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm going to pray.
Okay, let's do it.
Lord, thank you so much for this time we could have together. Thank you for bringing Lisa Williams here and just allow what these ladies are doing with this, her next chapter, all of their life struggles they've had and the hope that brought them through that and how they are, their goals, their passion is to encourage and raise up women to be the best, their next best chapter. We just thank you for all those watching right now and ask you to bless them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Yes, and I'm excited to pop in for some of the retreat. I definitely want to do that. And of course, it was supposed to be in person.
It was.
Yes.
And we'll get back to it.
Yes,
It'll
they will.
happen.
Okay,
Right.
we have a big idea.
All righty.
So
This
we
is
can be
fun. Okay.
contagious with our hope, encouragement, and joy.
Okay, this is fun. Oh, I love it. This is funny. Take donuts to your doctor or dentist's office. They need a little treat now and then.
So, and there's some great donuts out right now. Pumpkin, apple.
They're not very happy people often too.
No, they need a little
They need a
cheering
little
up.
sweet treat.
Yes, that's right. Well, thank
love
you. And
that.
thank you again for tuning in to Hope Follows, where we talk about the hope that follows the struggles and trials.